Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man that we have gotten on the live screen, and I say that with love in my heart for Tobey Maguire and for Tom Holland. Toby, we grew up with the guy, and Tom, like I just can't wait for the future, and his movies have been so good so far. I've got nothing against it. It's just that Andrew embodied to me what it is to be Spider-Man up there. Like he just had such a freeness of spirit. Like even though his character was arguably going through the most that any of the other Spider-Man have gone through, like he was still quippy. He was still like
That's
he had
true.
no
None of
weight
them
on his
had Gwen
shoulders.
to lose.
Like he was just rocking with no weight on his shoulders, man, and it was just so fun to watch him. The way he swung, you can't even argue that he's by far the best swinger of the three.
The choreography for his swinging is unmatched.
It was second to none.
There's no arguing that. Like
that's something I really want to see going forward.
Because especially, I mean, granted, we might. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is we might hopefully get some swinging that's similar to his, some actual good swinging scenes because we haven't gotten dick for Tom.
No, we have not, and it sucks.
Toby's were, to be frank,
old.
And Toby's, to be frank, were like a little bit. Yeah, they, there was only so much they could do. It was just like moving, like green screen.
He had some cool scenes,
like
but
it wasn't. There wasn't actually any swinging.
Yeah, and you mentioned it also, man. His chemistry with Emma Stone, Andrew and Emma's chemistry on screen as Peter and Gwen were there. Like Zendaya and Tom have a really close one.
Dunst and Toby Maguire.
Yes, like I said, and Zendaya and Tom have like a really good chemistry as well. But in my opinion, Emma Stone and Andrews was just better on screen. His suit,
definitely the best of all
of them. Like no
that uniqueness, uniqueness to his suit, the way they made his spider like different.
Love it, fantastic. I just think that in my heart of hearts, that if he would have gotten a chance to complete an entire spider saga like Tom is gonna get to, his would have been far more elite. And I will die on that hill. And if you guys don't agree, please come at me with whatever you have to say about it, because I am ready for it all. Because like I have been saying this since Amazing Spider-Man 3 got canceled, that he was and will be forever the best. My Spider-Man. Hashtag my Spider-Man.
Who's your guys' Spider-Man, huh? Which one is...
Hashtag your Spider-Man down below. I will be the first. Hashtag Andrew Garfield, my Spider-Man. Love that man. They had his parents in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like...
And before I go, they actually made Andrew's Peter a scientist. Like, Tom's is more of an engineer. Toby's was more alluded to that he was sciencey. Like, we got to see him in school and, like, answering questions and stuff. But we got to see Andrew's, like, make his web shooters. Yeah. We got to see him solve Kirk Connors' equation that eventually turns him into the lizard. Like, we got to see him actually being a chemist.
Or like Toby's, they kind of talk about him being I'm something of a scientist myself. Like there's that whole like like they that cringy fucking hilarious. But like they allude to it, but they never show him being. They show him being a photographer.
Yep.
Like,
He's much more of a photographer than Andrews was. I'll give him that.
Yeah. And I mean, it is kind of cliche, and it is, a lot of people say it, but he was like, that opening skateboard scene was too cool for Peter Parker.
That,
granted,
I can agree with.
If Peter Parker had spider powers already, then sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I do like how they like really adapted his skating into like the reason why his swinging was so steezy was because he was like, he was a skater, so he's used to like flaring out his movements. So like, of
he's
course,
doing like
kick
flips in the air.
Like of course, when he's swinging, he's gonna want to add some flair, because he's a skater, which is a really cool concept. Yeah. The director there must have been a skater as a kid or something, because the steez, and that's what it is about Andrew Spider-Man. Andrew Spider-Man has the steez, baby.
Another point I'd want to bring up is that like they did well. While the second one did have Amazing Spider-Man 2 did have a decent runtime. It was almost 2.5 hours, I think. They had a lot going on in that movie, and it ended up like muddying up and not allowing,
especially because it was in the pre-era of movies having multiple characters in them. Before there was no Avengers yet. There was no movies that had multiple characters in it. It was one hero, one villain. That's what superhero movies were up until Amazing Spider-Man 2, where there was 2 villains. Kinda 3 villains. Kinda.
Yeah. Which kind of
they did it poorly.
Which is where I'm at. I'm at with, like, they needed another 30 minutes. If it would have been 2 hours and 40 minutes or 2 hours,
I don't know that they needed more time. I think they needed more concept of how to have multiple characters on screen together. Because nowadays, like, and like a movie that's like an hour and like 30 minutes.
That's a norm. Without it, people don't.
Yeah. We've just kind of figured out,
and they're usually done well.
But hey, you guys, let us know how you feel about this. Do you agree? Do you think Andrew is the best Spider-Man of all time? Or do you think it's Tom? Do you think it's Toby? Do you think it's one of the animated Peters? That counts too. We'll come on in with it.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's lots of different options, but in my heart, I truly believe that the one that would have gotten the most out of like a full saga of movies, kind of like Tom is getting and is gonna get, would have been Andrew. He would have been the peakest. And let me know if you agree. If you disagree, come at me.
Yeah,
I'll argue with you until my face turns blue. I'll die on this hill. I'll physically, no metaphor.
Please knock this man off his high horse.
I know. My horse is so high. I'm so well balanced up here. I couldn't be knocked out. I'm on a stallion of Andrew Garfield.
I've tried. It's hard. It's not easy.
It's because Andrew Garfield is a stallion of a horse. He has excellent balance. Yeah. Florence Pugh knows. # Florence Pugh knows.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate you. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, all that at Hosts4Hire with the number 4 podcast at Hosts4Hire podcast. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.